Monday, 8 p.m. is the Monday assessment.
And your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday Assessment, brought to you by the View from the Medway Fancast. We are sponsored by Snodhurst Used Cars and Service Station and Wicked Creative, and we are in partnership with Sports Social Podcast Network and Her Game 2. In a week where the Gills had 3 games and lost 3 games and scored no goals, myself and the panel are going to try and dissect what went wrong on the pitch, what happened in the stands, and then what happened on social media over the weekend as the Gills welcomed Premier League OGs Oldham Athletic to Priestfield and suffered an embarrassing 3-0 defeat and saved the worst of those 3 defeats until Saturday. Tonight, I am joined by Warren, Phil and his cat, and Finn. How are we doing, guys?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, so guys, we will have a look at the Guess Who. So this former Gills player, so as always, guys, don't say anything if you know who it is, has played for Southend United, the Gills, Exeter, Dagenham and Redbridge, and Cheltenham Town. We will come back to that later.
I've got it already. That's the first one I've got.
We'll move on to the lineups for the game. We started with Glenn Morris in goal. We had a back four of Romeo Hutton, Travis Akimara, Omar Beckles, and Max Clark. We had a midfield 2 of Captain Armani Little and Ethan Coleman. We had Gareth McCleary and Ronan Hale, with Bradley Dack in the 10. And up front, all on his own, was Sam Vokes. So, Warren, I'll start with you. The teams came out. 4 changes from the weekend, from midweek. Were you surprised that we reverted to a 4? And was there anyone in the lineup that you were surprised was there? And also, was there anyone missing from the lineup that you surprised wasn't in it?
Yeah, with the lineup, nothing surprises me now because I believe that whatever Gareth decides, formation-wise, player-wise, whatever, he hasn't got much in the way of choices now that Johnny Williams, who else? You've got Smith out. You've got Rowe allegedly having a row with Ainsworth and I forget, and Ogie. None of them seem to be involved anymore. So that creates very little in the way of availability for big changes or changes that probably needed to be made. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I just don't get the thinking sometimes of this chopping and changing for the sake of it.
And Finn, I'll come to you. And yeah, for the second game in a row, the Gills made 4 changes. Sam Gale and Smith dropped out. Akimoa came back in. Do you think that was the right choice? Obviously, before the game, don't take his performance in the game into consideration.
In my opinion, I don't know what Sam Gale has done to get dropped from the team. I know he had a bit of run form out our position playing at right back, but you can't have such defenders, Sam Gale, even though he's young, out of the team. I think he makes us better defensively and just makes us hold the shape, to be honest. I think him having there allows Hutton to probably push a bit forward because he's got the pace to cover out there. So I think Sam Gale makes a huge difference to this Gills side, and I think we're a better side with him in it.
And Phil, finally, mate, as you can see from the lineup, yet again, our January striker signing started out wide again. I know he does come in as well, but have we got to try and find a way to start more often with Ronan Howe through the middle, or is this how you see us going for the rest of the season?
Well, I agree. He should be in the middle. I don't quite understand why he's not. However, Ainsworth said right when he came in, he likes small squads. He likes to get players to play the way he wants them to play. So clearly, he has a plan, and we're not privy to what that plan is. And it looks confusing. We're baffled by some of the selections that he's been making. We're baffled by some of the droppings that he's made. I'd actually quite like to see Johnny Williams and Chad still in the side, but for whatever reason, they're not even on the bench. So, there has to be some rationale in Gareth Ainsworth's mind as to why he's playing Hale out on the wing like that rather than in the middle. Your guess is as good as mine as to what that is.
Can I just interject here, Dave?
Sure,
right. I think the problem is Bradley Dack, right? Now, don't get me wrong, Bradley Dack has been our best player for a few weeks now, right? I personally believe that this is the wrong division for him. He should be playing League One football in a 10 role. I don't think you can play it in this division. And having Hal play up the middle with Vokes means you can't play Dack. Because we're so defensively frail, you just can't do it. Especially with the fullbacks that we've got.
Do you think we'd be better with a 4-4-2?
If you look at how many other teams have you seen in this division, Phil, play with a number 10?
Well, yeah.
Right? How many of the top 5 teams play with a number 10? Like Bradley Dack. The formula getting out of this division has always been the same. Right? And the biggest problem is, right, your goalkeeper's got to be your best player. Now, if you've seen the goalkeepers for the last 3 games that we've played against, they're all better than what we've got currently at the club, right? So your goalkeeper's got to be your best player. You've got to have an absolute giant kicking centre half, right? We haven't got one of those. Someone who's a real leader at the back and is going to inspire players to do their jobs properly. We haven't got that. In midfield, you need to have a real leader, a proper leader who's not afraid to put his foot in and is able to control everything that's going around him. You've got to have pace wide and you've got to have a big man up front and you've got to have a small man to lay off him. That's the formula of getting out of this division. And I believe that we haven't recruited a squad to get out of this league. We've got a squad in mind for League One. And I think this squad would probably do better in League One than it is doing in League Two.
You think?
Yeah, based on footballing ability, right? I actually think it would. Because we get more time on the ball. You don't have bullies, right? You take Oldham centre forward, right? On Saturday. It was hopeless. But what he was good at was he was able to bully. And he bullied our back four all the way across the line on Saturday. You look at the two centre halves for Oldham. Those two big, those big massive lumps, right? They didn't care how they cleared the ball. They cleared the ball. When Donovan Daniels was here, I didn't rate him at all. On Saturday, he did his job. He cleared the football. He bullied our centre forward, whatever one we had, and we didn't get looking. You can't have, to get out of this division, you can't play good football unless you can afford the best 11 players in each position in this league, and we can't afford it. And we're nowhere near it.
So we will look at the game, unfortunately. I'll give you my brief thoughts now. Again, stats are quite deceiving for anyone that is watching that wasn't at the game. It looks like we've been robbed. I can tell you for a fact that we weren't. I thought it was one of the worst performances that I have seen in many a year supporting the Gills. I heard Gareth mention that for I think the last 20 minutes of the first half we were on top, and the only reason we had a bit more ball was because an away team had come to us, got 2-0 up early, and were able to sit in. It wasn't us being better than them. They just sat back and just soaked up some pressure and then got their third in the second half. I also witnessed some of the worst man management that I've ever seen in how the substitution of Travis Akamara. In the first half, he was, to put it politely, he was not very good. And for me, they should have just left him in the changing room. He didn't need to come back out. And within 2 minutes, I think, of the second half, he nearly gave away a penalty, then got booked, and then was in front of nearly 6,000 people made to walk the full length of the pitch to be substituted. And I just don't think that needed to happen. He's a young lad, had a shocker, leave him in the changing room and work on him, maybe sit him out the next game and he can come back in. But yeah, as for the rest of them, bar a couple, and I know, Warren, you don't think that Bradley Dack's an issue, but as you've also said, he's also our best player, and he was, for me, one of the only people that looked interested. And I think the rest of the players need to look at him, because it's a player that could easily, before injuries, have played Premier League football. He's done his both ACLs, and he was still trying his hardest to do something for us. And just unfortunately for him, that the majority of the starting lineup were just atrocious. And a lot of the players get a lot of criticism and all of that. But of that starting lineup, I think 6 were Gareth Ainsworth signings. I think 8, including renewals, were Gareth Ainsworth signings. I think everything needs to be looked at with the club, whether it's the recruitment, looking at the wrong type of player. The players we're looking at just aren't Gillingham players. They're not up for a fight, and it just needs to be looked at. The Gallinsons, I know we're going to come on to them later. They're just being let down by everyone. And I think they need to have a real good look around this place and shift out more than just players. And that's not just the ones out of contract. I think if players that are under contract, I think if they're not good enough and we can pay them off, I think they need to be really, really harsh in the summer, because what we're witnessing at the moment is nothing more than it's embarrassing. I think everyone looks forward to their Saturdays at football, whether it's at Priestfield or away. And at the moment, no one's getting value for money at all. And yeah, that's my little rant. Finn, I'm going to come to you. Obviously, you've picked a good show to come on as your first one. Yeah, if you can give us your overview of the game and just why do we seem to? I think Warren put it well about their centre forward, and I put a little message because my dad mentioned something before the game about Oldham looked like they had about 3 or 4 players that could have played in the NFL, and any other time you turned up, you would have seen 2 big centre halves, and you'd be thinking, oh, we can get at them, and a big centre forward, and you'd be like, well, he can't run. Why do the Gills just seem to get bullied by the opposition all the time?
I don't think having a big man helps in a game like that. I think if you could have someone like Seb and Hal up there together, you've got people like Hutton who can put a ball down the channel and they can chase it. They can get past their man and they can cut it back. We saw that one chance where we played a ball over the top to Hal and we had a Seb out on the outside of him. We had one bit of thing where we burst a bit of pace and played the ball through. We need to use that more. Having the big man doesn't help. We just lump it up there. And then by the time that happens, we're like you said, we're 2-0 down chasing the game. And we take off one big man, bring on another big man. And not being frank, he doesn't score as many goals. Obviously, the chance sums him up, really, don't it? Like the chance he missed. But Seb and Howard worked up there together. Seb's not the smallest. He's quiet, so he can win a header. Hal can run off him. They can both run with each other and play with each other. But having a big man up there doesn't help us. And I think, like Dak, obviously he's not the same player he always was, but he's always got a goal. He'll create a chance and he won't give up. He'll put the balls through and he'll create the chances. But it's just about having the players up there as well who can support that. It's all good having all the chances. As you can see there, we've had 15 shots, but we haven't scored a goal. They've had less shots and they've had more shots than targeted us, less shots, but they've scored 3 goals. But that's because they're not just launching a ball up there. They're working the ball to the strikers and feeding off the striker. They've scored 3 goals like that. I just think the manager can sit and back the players all he wants, but at the end of the day, the players are the ones putting in performances. Like Dak said in the interview, every player out there is looking at himself in the mirror and should be like, why are we losing games like this? That's the reason. They're just lumping the ball up there. I don't think that helps in the game, to be honest.
And Phil, what were your thoughts on the game? And I just want you to mention, I'm going to mention a player as well that I've since taken a little bit of stick, but seems to be constantly in the 11. If you could just give a little bit of an overview on your thoughts of the captain as well recently, and whether you think he should be captain, whether you think he's influencing enough games. And yeah, just want a little bit of your thoughts on Armani Little, please.
We need to get this family friendly. So we went out and we played a game of football. At the end of 90 minutes, we went off another bath. It was just such a horrible afternoon. There's no way of sugarcoating what went on Saturday. Now, it's interesting, you're asking me about Little being our captain. I'm not sure he's the right leader for us. I haven't quite seen enough fire in his belly to G up the rest of the team. It's all very well going around with all the hand gestures and trying to move people along. But I'm not actually seeing him put his arm around players and getting them to think about what they're doing. And that's kind of disappointing to me. Obviously we don't see what's going on the training ground. And I am a bit baffled because one of the things that Gareth had said in this post-match interview, in training, they've been okay as a squad. But clearly whatever's going on the training ground is not translating to what's happening on the pitch. And what's happening on the pitch, the captain obviously has to take some responsibility for that as well. So, Saturday was, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst this season, utterly demoralising. All the silly mistakes that we have made across the course of the season bottled into one 90-minute game. There's no sugarcoating it at all, is there?
Warren, I saved you till last because I've got I've got a feeling this could go on a while. Yeah, if you could give us your overview of the game and also your thoughts on, as I mentioned in the intro, there was people thrown out of hospitality. There's been lots kicking off in the Raynham end after the game. There's been fans going at each other on social media. Just give your thoughts on how what's happening on the pitch is just affecting everyone around the club and obviously including us fans.
Right, so I'll go on to the game, right? Me and Chris went down at half-time, and we looked at the stats at half-time. I know and we just laughed because it didn't look like that sort of game to us. We must have done more in the 20 minutes at the end of the first half with a ball, right? Because the accurate passes are just a joke. I thought the reason why I disagree with Finn about not playing a big man is our midfield players can't pass the ball. None of them. I saw a load of passes not quite reaching it. I saw defenders not clearing the ball, not putting in a tackle, not putting in a challenge. I saw from our strikers, and I exclude Ronan Howe. I'm not going to, apart from Ronan, Bradley Dack, I'll exclude everyone from any criticism. They're the only two I'll exclude from any criticism. But I saw strikers pulling out of challenges. Experienced strikers pulling out of challenges. That's not good enough. Hiding. Players were hiding out there. And I'm sorry if I'm not going to call out any player in particular. I refuse to. But when you've got players hiding and not putting in the required effort to be a Gillingham Football Club player, then fans are going to get annoyed. And when fans get annoyed, it spills out onto social media, the Raynham end, sponsorship, and whatever. Because in this day and age, people pay very good money to go and watch a game of football. And at the end of the day, we're League Two. And I think the expectancy of the new age fan of us winning games goes above the chart compared to what it used to. Just ask your dad, Dave, right? In the old days, and I say the old days, now I'm 60, back in the old days, there was no expectancy. But did supporters start fighting on the terracing? Did supporters start fighting in the main stand? Was there an outcry on social media after? No. Because I think people have lost the reasons why they go to a game. And they get the ump over a lot of stuff that they shouldn't be. You go to a game of football to watch sport. Sport, sometimes players are going to have off days. Whether it's an individual sport, you don't see Rory McIlroy win every single golf tournament, do you? What do all these supporters do when he doesn't make a cut or he doesn't win a tournament? Do they then go onto social media and say he's crap, he's rubbish, he should never play golf again? Do they meet him with derision and upset him? No, but we think it's all right at football. We think it's all right to pull out players' names and give them a good battering and expect them to go out next Saturday and play better. Life don't work like that. If any one of us four, and Finn, when you get to work, right, and you're employed, if you're battered at work, you don't put in the effort, do you? If you have a manager, if you have a teacher, Finn, and they're battering you, do you put the effort in for that teacher? No, you lose interest. And when you're on the terracing and you're booing a player, right, within 2 minutes of them coming on, because they've made a mistake, they've made an almighty mistake. How can that be right? You're there to support the club and the team. Don't get me wrong. I've been to Crewe, Chesterfield, and the Oldham game. The Oldham game, I'd had 2 hours sleep in the best part of 36 hours because I was in Budapest and I had to get up early for a flight and fly back for the game. And yeah, I was angry. That's why I stayed off social media and stayed off all the forums and everything else because and I didn't answer back any of the rubbish that I saw on social media. At the end of the day, it's a game of football. When I hear people calling players C words in front of young kids, is that right? How right is that? Does that person have a right to be angry and use that language? Don't get me wrong, I've used it. But is it right? No, it's not. Because in the moment, you get caught up. And I think we get caught up because we expect to win games at home against Oldham. But those players have got to earn the right to be on that pitch, and I don't think they're earning the right at the moment. Or some of them ain't. And I'll go on to it in the takeaways at the end. But I think there's something inherently wrong at the football club when we're not being told anything. We're not. Who knows what the 2-year plan is? David, can you tell me what the 2-year plan is?
I wouldn't know what it was, but my guess would be he's got 2 years to get promoted, probably in the second season. He has to either get promoted or to the playoffs in the second season. That would be my guess. But
in any business, with a 2-year plan, there's a lot of stages that take place to create a 2-year plan where you get to the 2-year. At the end of the 2 years, you should have achieved what you set out to achieve. And there should be certain goals along the way that you're getting. Have we achieved any of those goals?
I hope not, because what we've watched has been dross.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the performances at Crewe and Chesterfield were that bad, personally. We just couldn't score a goal. And it was 2 mistakes, one in each game, that lost us the game. And I think people lost their heads over them 2 games, when actually, as an away team, I don't think we did that bad against 2 sides that weren't bad. And I wasn't unhappy with those 2 defeats. I was unhappy Saturday because I saw players not being able to pass the ball 5 yards. I saw players not being able to put a tackle in or put a header in. I saw players shirking challenges and they didn't want to go in for 50-50s or 60-40s. It was just, everything just seems too nice at the moment. And I think Gareth doesn't do himself any favours. I don't say he should be slaughtering the players, but I don't think he does himself any favours in the media. And I think that leads to the discontent on the terracing.
I thought we were quite strong, actually, after Saturday's game, because in the press conference he said the performance wasn't good enough and it wasn't good enough for the fans. He didn't see that performance was coming. You know, it was way short of the level that he expects.
But
so,
we've heard that 10, 15 times this season, Phil. Right? In his facial expression, did he look angry at you? He didn't look angry at me.
No. Now, that's an interesting question because obviously we don't know what's going on in his head and we don't know what he's been saying in the dressing room. But Joe pointed out, my son, that Bradley Datt looks like he's been in the headmaster's study, had his pants taken down and had the cane given to him before he went out and did the press conference.
Yeah, but Bradley Datt wasn't the problem. Bradley Datt wasn't the problem Saturday. He was our best player by a million miles, right? But it's just the position that Bradley Datt plays in, for me, is a problem. Because you can't play him in a 4 in midfield, because you can't get up and down the pitch like he used to. So you can't play him in centre midfield alongside a Coleman, a Little, Mackenzie, or whatever. Our fullbacks are inherently weak. I'm not saying they're bad players, but they're not that strong. we still don't know who our best, after how long's Gareth been at the club, we still don't know who our best partnership is in the back four or back five, because we chop and change each week. It just all seems confusing. Everything's confused to me. And I'll go on in the takeaways to Karen because I'm talking about the game. But for me, not being able to pass the ball 10 yards and asking us to play Ronan Howell and Seb Palmer Holden up front because we're going to pass the ball to them is about a million miles away from reality, because none of them can pass. They can't. Even Coleman can't pass the ball 10 yards unless it's sideways or backwards. But you can't play a 10-yard pass forward.
No, it's frustrating, isn't it? You know, you watch them and you want them to get the ball on the pitch, not in the air.
How many times there's little misplaced passes? And he's meant to be our midfield dynamo, because we're expecting the likes of McKenzie and Coleman to sit in front of the back four. I really, it's just all too confusing for me. We signed a striker for allegedly a real hefty fee for a Division 2 club or League 2 club. And where do we play him? Left wing. Ridiculous. I just don't get it.
Does that not fall on Gareth though, Warren? That he needs to find a formation to fit the new striker and not fit something that fits, so that he can get a Bradley Dack in. If Bradley Dack has to miss out so that Ronan Howell can play up front, does he not have to be earn his money, be the manager and say, look, this is what we're going to do now?
When Pulis and Martin Allen got teams out of this division, the amount of players that they play was very minimal, and the changes were minimal week in, week out. Whether you're playing Tuesday, Saturday, whatever. I mean, there's so much wrong, whether it's the players, whether it's the manager, whether it's the assistant manager, whether it's something wrong behind the scenes. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong. There's something that's not quite right in every bit of the football club. Right? And I'll go on to this again later, but going back to the game, how can you not pass the ball 10 yards? How can you not hit the target from 6 yards? How can you not go up for a header because you're scared the big bloke behind you might hurt you? Right? How can you not put in a tackle? How can you not do this? How can you not do that? Where they're pure basics. We're not asking these to be Messi or Ronaldo or whatever. All we're asking is for the minimum requirement. That is to wear the shirt with pride, and also to put in the effort in the game, to be able to pass 10 yards, to compete in 50-50 challenges or 60-40 challenges. I mean, it's not happening. And it hasn't been happening for a while. And it was the same last year, and it was the same year before. You can't just blame Ainsworth because it's happened in the last couple of years with different varying managers. Nobody liked Coleman because he was a bit tough on the players. Nobody liked Bonner because he was too nice for the players. Well, now everyone's screaming for Gareth's head because he's too nice and protects his player at all costs. Where do we go?
Yeah, I do agree that we can't keep chopping and changing managers, but your manager has to perform, doesn't he? And for me, he's been here close to a year now, and I don't think much has improved. If anything's improved, and that's got to fall on him. I know we can blame the players all we want, but it's down to him, isn't it? We were blaming Clements, we blamed Bonner, we blamed all of them for exactly the same thing. So I think Ainsworth does need to be looked at. And for me, he's got, 10, 11 games to prove that he should be allowed to rebuild this squad next year. It shouldn't be a given 2-year plan or not. He needs to earn that second year. And again, that's my opinion. And I hope he is here. But for me, he's on trial because he's managing this lot that are putting in performances like we saw on Saturday. And he looks lost. He looks... Managers are just... Other managers look tactically better than him, especially in-game management. He just doesn't seem to react. And yeah, again, I know we keep going back to his operation, and it was a big operation, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's affected him. Like it would affect everyone, but I think there's only so long that you can give him that. He's there to be the manager of Gillingham Football Club, and for me, he's got to do better.
I mean, for me personally, I think Gareth Ainsworth's a really good manager when things are going right, but not a very good manager when things are going wrong. And it's proved that throughout his career.
Mm.
Right? It's a 50-50, but at the end of the day, those players still got to take responsibility. The recruitment's still got to take responsibility. At some point. And at some point, you've got to look at, do we change the recruitment? Do we change the manager? Do we change the players? Do we do this? Do we do that? Because at the moment, I just can't see, apart from off the pitch, which is really good with the commercial side, I can't see where we're going with this team. I really can't.
Should we move on to the takeaways? Because I'm a bit worried poor old Finn hasn't been able to say anything for a while. We need to ask him some questions.
No worries.
It's your bit now, Warren.
Yeah. Right. So more success off than on the pitch. So Finn, I'm going to come to you. Right. How old are you now?
15.
15. So in 3 years' time, you're going to be able to have a drink, go out with your mates, right, legally. Fan zone, right? What, as a young person, what would you like to see the fan zone look like?
Probably somewhere where fans can interact properly. You know, like Dave mentioned earlier, you had fans fine up in the terracing. You know, that's places where people can go there. You know, have a drink, but also like talk together, like as a collective, as a group, and say, this is what we think, you know, without starting fights, you know, starting arguments. And the fan zone, I know, okay, yeah, it's good, but do you not think that we should probably spend more time sorting out stuff on the pitch first before stuff outside on the pitch? Because a fan zone's not gonna fix anything happening on the pitch.
Well, I'll go at the commercial side, Finn, and I'll answer your question. Without the money that the commercial side raises, we haven't got the players to get out there on the pitch. Right? So we need the commercial to be correct in order to get decent players to come and play for us. Because, unfortunately, players don't cost a bag of crisps and a packet of salted nuts these days. So you're going into your thousands and you're shopping at Harrod. But I do like your point of where people can sit and have a chat, because that's what we always used to do in the old social club. And it's very important that point was made. And I think you're right. So I've gone to Phil. Phil, what do you think the importance of the LED boards means to the success or future success of maybe rebuilding the side in the summer?
Well, I have to say that I'm really proud of the fact we've got LED thingies going, advertising boards. When we go and visit other clubs that haven't got them, it feels like they're not quite in the 21st century in the same way as us. Obviously, forgetting our temporary stand, of course. But it shows a level of commitment from the club, from the businesses, the companies that are in and around the Gillingham area. And as a fan, you know, I want to support those businesses if I could. So yeah, they are really important. They're really important in terms of raising revenue. They're really important in helping grease the wheels of the local community. But also, they're really important in showing a statement of where we think this club should be and could be.
Yeah, I agree, Phil, and I think the LED balls have been a major improvement to the commercial side. Unfortunately, I do lose the ball on the odd occasion that we put it on the floor, but for 99% of the time,
It's only a few times, well, and it's mostly in the air.
Yeah. So I'd like to come on to you, David, right? And what do you think could improve our commercial success? Even though it's really good, I really like our commercial side. I think they've done wonders over the last few years for Gillingham Football Club. What do you think could improve it?
I think they're doing an awful lot right. The one thing that I'm surprised, and I know there was rules behind the when we were our kitmate was Gilles Leisure, was I would like to be able to, if you're out and about in Blue Water or around the Medway Towns, Kent area, to be able to see Gillingham shirts in sports shops. That's always baffled me, especially now where we got Macron. We must be able to do something. I was up Blue Water at the weekend and they had a Charlton shop now up there. Like, we must be able to do something to get Gilles out and about more. That's kind of the way I would go, just more to get maybe the people that don't come to the ground, that when they're out shopping with parents and stuff, they see a Gilles shirt in a shop and think, oh, what's that? Might get them interested, because at the moment, unless you go to the ground or you go on the website, you're not able to get any Gilles stuff. So that's where I would go. How easy that is and whether we can even do that, I don't know. But other than that, I think everything else they're doing, I think is really good. I know we were promised a big screen that was going to appear somewhere. Not sure about that, especially at the moment. But everything else, I think they're doing really well.
Yeah, I would just like to congratulate our sales team. It's the only thing that's successful at the football club at the moment. So well done to them. So we're going to how to get out of League Two. So Phil, what do you think the formula is to get out of League Two?
Win games and score goals. It's not as rocket science, is it?
Yeah, I understand that, Phil, but right, I ain't thick. What sort of style of play do you think we need, and what style of player do you think we need to get our League Two?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It comes back to this 2-year plan. I'm not going to lie, I've actually got a bit more confidence in the 2-year plan than I think some of other people have. But Ainsworth needs this summer to clear out the players that he wants to get rid of. He extended contracts at the end of last season, which baffled some of us at the time, but there we go. But we know that a number of players will be leaving, and it's critical that the players he brings in will have the confidence. They'll have the confidence on the pitch. They'll have the confidence to find the back of the net. And they'll have the confidence in each other. And one of my big failings with Saturday is it was not a team effort. The players did not know who was going to be picking the ball up. They were quite literally, we call it a hoofball because we're just hoofing it and hoping. But the reality is they need to be pushing the ball into places where they know their teammates are going to be. They know it's going to connect, and they know that it's going to push us up the pitch and score those goals. So we can talk about any system, we can talk about any player, but the bottom line is if we haven't got a team working together, pulling together, then we're just going to end up in this same place this time next year, just as we have done for the past 4, 5, 6 seasons.
Yeah. Finn, you're a what I call a new age football fan. What formation would you play to get out of this league?
I think we do look a lot better when we do play a 3, but it's about having the right players to play there. personally, I would have Beckles in the middle with Gal and Conor Marston on one side if he can stay fit. But occasionally the 4-2-3-1 works, but you just got to have the right players in the right system. If the system's not right, the football won't be right, because the players won't be able to move as being free. Like if we can give Dak a free role, and we've got wingers that can actually make the runs, then I think we're not far off. But we just need to find the right formation that works for us, and in certain games change it, but don't change it every game. Because it seems to me that recently we've been playing a 3 at the back, gone to a 4, and we've kept with a 4, but gone with 2 strikers and then playing with no wingers. So it's about trying to find the right one for certain games. But I think a 3 is definitely better for us.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your input. Dave, I'll ask you a question. We're going to sign 4 players this summer, and that's it. What 4 positions would you like to see us start a player in?
Goalkeeper. Another centre half. I'm trying to think of what the type of formation I want us to play. A proper old school midfield player that can get about and do a bit of everything. I know those players, I don't even know if those players exist anymore, but I don't like all this. He has to be a holding player. He has to do this. I want the old school player that can get about. And then we always want someone with a bit of pace, but whether you're going to get that, I don't know. And ideally the pace to be someone up top, because it's going to be Hale +1, isn't it, if we play a 2? And it's just getting the right mix. And we just need a better big man. If we're going to go down the big man route, we just need a better big man, because the 2 that we've got just aren't going to score you enough goals. And for me, they don't cause enough chaos. So ideally, a Michael Cheek type player, but they're not going to come cheap, because he's a big man that scores loads of goals. And so goalkeeper, centre half, someone that runs around a lot, and a better big man, actually. Not going to go for the pace. That'd be for me. Because I don't think you need to even be the best team to get out of this division. You just need to be effective. Like Bromley beat us with 36% possession. And they did it comfortably. You just need to be effective in what you do, and you'll get out of this division. You do not need to be the best team.
Swindon aren't a great side, but it's because the way they play, they've got some sort of big man up there that will score on goals. Also, you've got Ollie Palmer up there. He's a goal scorer. He'll put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah. Thanks for that, guys. I have my own opinions for all 3 questions that I asked. But I keep going on and on. So I'm going to move on, because I've taken up too much of the show so far. So feeling sorry for Brad and Shannon. Now, Brad and Shannon have come in. They put a hell of a lot of money into this football club for whatever reason. I'll come to you, David. What do you think is the worst thing that Brad and Shannon must feel let down by so far in their tenure?
Wow. I don't think they would admit it, but I think it has to fall back to the recruitment for me, because that's where their money goes. They're getting told to buy they don't know football, so they're getting told by our recruitment team to go out and buy these players, and they're spending all their money on said players and then watching what we're watching. And that's where I feel, it has to be recruitment, because the players they're signing, I know we can always say, it's the players, but they're signing League 2 players. So these players are playing in League 2 and they're there for a reason. It's unless you go and spend some big money and get some players from other divisions, this is what you get. This is what we're going to see. And fans are crying out for Cameron Antwi. We've signed him for a bit of money, and from the team bottom of League Two. Again, another League Two player. So he may be good, but he also could be like the rest. So for me, they need to have a real big think about Hess's position over the summer, as well as the players. Because for me, if he's the one that gets not the final say, but he's almost a key part of why we're signing these players, he needs to be looked at, because he has spent an awful lot of money in the 2 to 2.5 years that they've been here. And it's very difficult if I asked you to say which signing that since they've been here has been good. It'd be very difficult, or that player's probably not even here anymore.
Yeah.
And that'd be it for me.
So I'll come to you, Finn, right? Where do you think the biggest waste of money that the Gallinsons have been ill-advised to spend has gone on?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think there's definitely players, like, I'm not going to name names, but we spent big money on them and they've turned out to be the wrong players at the wrong times. And we went out in the year with them, we had Bonner. I think some of the players we signed in that window wasn't necessary. I think we had enough in the locker at the start anyway for what we had, and went out and signed big players. I think we're not spending unnecessary, but I think we're signing players straight away. We're saying we've looked at him, we want him straight away. You can say we've looked at someone, we'll see how the start of the season goes, then we'll bring him in if we're pushing. There's no point spending money on him, knowing that we're gonna sign someone for money, and we're still gonna end up, bottom half of the table, and we've spent big money on him. Otherwise they're just gonna think, well, I've come for big money, I've been promised this, and we're progressively getting worse.
Yeah, I agree to that to a certain extent. So my question for you, Phil, is: do you feel that the Gallinsons have been ill-advised since the start of their tenure, and now they've got to know a bit more about English football? Do you think, behind the scenes, away from the football side of it, do they need to really start looking at the stuff behind the scenes?
Well, I'm sure they have some days when they regret buying the club, full stop. But I'm very glad that they did, and I'm very glad that they've not only kept us in the league, but also given us hope. But, as we've alluded to, things aren't quite right. We don't know exactly what is not right with the club, but we know things aren't quite right. And it would have been great if Fish had stayed on for longer than he did, because he gave us some backbone. But he decided, for his own reasons, that he needed to step aside and do different things. So that was fine. But things are moving in the right direction, as we talked about with the commercial side of stuff. And that's good. But at the same time, there's other things that we wish we could be doing. And some of them will only come with success. They've stated their aim to replace the Brian Moore stand, but only when it's the right time to do so. So, they've got plans. They've got plans for the club. They've got plans for the site. They've got plans for a future that we can't even envisage yet. They didn't come into this with their eyes closed. They didn't come into it thinking it's all going to be sweetness and light and apple pie and all that kind of stuff. They came in knowing they were getting a gritty, down on its luck side, and we could have gone out of the league when they bought us. They may have bought these great signings with them, but those signings could have backfired, and we could have ended up playing in the conference. They knew that when they came in. So, for whatever reason, they're sticking with us through thick and thin. And that is something that I think we need to be celebrating, and certainly not feeling sorry for them, because, they're going in knowing what they've got, but they're going in knowing what we could be. And it's what we could be that is exciting.
Yeah, I agree, Phil. I feel sorry for Brad and Shannon. because I think they're being ill-advised on a lot of things. Now, for me, the fan zone should have been a supporters collaboration into what we want, because what I've seen is coming. It'll be good for match days, but I can't see it being a success outside of match days when it could be. I think when Kenny Jackett was here as director of football, I think that was a little misled on a few things. I also think that since Kenny Jackett's left, sorry, the recruitment side has gone downhill. I think that with the team and the sacking of managers and appointment of managers, I think they've been a little bit badly advised on who they should go for. I also think that with the team, I think some of the players that we signed have been poor signings because we haven't looked at character. And the one thing we need is character. And we haven't got it. So I'll hand you back to David because I'm just about to have a coughing fit. So I'm going to leave the room, right, to have a coughing fit because I can hardly speak. David.
Cheers, pal. So, Finn, I will come to you on the official for the well-named official for the game with Oldham, the man in the middle, James Oldham. How do you think he did? Did you even because the performance was so bad, I didn't even really pay attention to what he was doing because everything else was so bad. But do you think he had a good game?
I think there was one decision I think he got blatantly wrong. Sam Vokes was getting rugby tackled by two men in the box. It's either a penalty or a corner. The keeper's paid it out for a corner and he's given a goal kick. But like you said, I didn't really notice the ref. I wasn't really focusing on the referee performance. I was more bothered about the players on the pitch. But I don't think there's definitely been worse. But I don't think he was fantastic. Some decisions were a bit weird, to be honest, especially as a qualified referee myself. Some of the decisions were a bit iffy, but don't think it was that bad. Definitely worse. So, yeah, it's all right, isn't it?
And Phil, what about you, mate? How did you think you got on? And also your thoughts on that penalty decision. I don't know whether it would have made any difference. It looked a penalty from where I was sitting. But, what were your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I've got to disagree, Finn. I'm sorry. I thought he was awful. He was inconsistent in his decision-making throughout. And, yes, we should have had two penalties, that rugby tackle and the blatant handball. But, he decided to make different decisions. And also, I just want to pick up on Bradley Dack's yellow card for a foul just outside the box. Oldham did the identical foul in the first half. And he just went, no, play on. So, he wasn't the architect of our defeat on Saturday, but he did not help the situation. And I'm very disappointed, to put it mildly.
And Warren, you're back. What were your thoughts on Mr. Oldham's performance against Oldham? You there?
I'm here.
Cool. I don't know if you heard. What were your thoughts on Mr. Oldham's performance?
Very strange. But I can say that about every single referee that we've had this season. The new age refs for an assessor, refs for promotion, refs for himself. Unfortunately, not one of them have got any common sense. They don't realise that the game is a physical contest. It isn't a non-physical sport. And I think that half the time they're scared to blow. You look at some of our players, especially up top, how many times we get a jersey pulled and ripped off backs and beaten up, and we don't get anything for it, right? Yet someone just literally touches a player around the centre circle, and the referee's all too happy to blow the whistle for a foul. It's embarrassing. I've never seen such a poor group of referees as I have this season. I really haven't. And personally, I think maybe the referees are getting too professional and they're expected to be these super fit wonder kids, and they've got no experience of life. Whereas back in the day, you have referees between 40 and 48 who had a lot of experience in refereeing at lower level, and when they got to the big house, they was able to still referee in the same way that got them there in the first place. But I think today's referees are under so much scrutiny and pressure to get decisions right. They make decisions for other people like the assessors and promotion than they do to improve the game.
Perfect. We will move on to our new section. No, we won't. We'll move on to man of the matches. My bad. Phil, you've gone for Bradley Dack.
Well, I actually wanted to go for Smith, but because he was the only player that didn't come on the pitch. But Chris said I had to choose someone, so it is Bradley Dack. And best of a bad bunch, unfortunately, but that's how it goes. We move on to the next game.
No problem at all. Finn, you went for Ronan Hale.
Yeah, for me, it was between Dack and Ronan Hale, to be honest. It was a bit of both. They were the two players that didn't stop till the end. But like Phil just said, Chris had to choose one. So I went with Ronan Hale.
Thank you, mate. And Warren, you went for Bradley Dack as well?
Yeah, it was the one player who probably made the least amount of mistakes out of all of them. He worked hard till the final whistle. He still went up and applauded the fans at the end compared to a lot of the other players. He went and faced the camera, right? To me, that means you're a real man, and I think that's why he deserves man of the match.
Perfect. And I went for Dack as well. Pretty much like you guys said, that there was only a couple of players we could really pick from, and I noticed Dacky more. As I said, he was dropping deep again, which normally is a sign that we're not doing well when he starts picking the ball up off the centre backs. It's not something that I particularly want to see him doing, but at least it goes to show that he's not scared to show for the ball. Unfortunately, he didn't have his shooting boots. He could have had a couple of goals on another day, but for me, yeah, it was an easy decision this week, and yeah, that's why I went for Dacky. And the Guess Who section. So, as I mentioned, this player obviously played for the Gills, played for Southend, played for Exeter, played for Dagenham, and played for Cheltenham. Guys, do any of you have a guess of who it could be?
Yep, I got it off the blurred picture, to be honest. But yeah.
Congratulations. Yes, you are correct. It is Timmy Dieng, now playing for Dagenham. So we got a new section, which I mentioned earlier. So we got the fan zone. So this is you guys listening's chance to send in some questions, and we will answer those ones that we haven't discussed as yet on the show. So I had a question in from Alan. Does anyone else think that if the senior players don't give a shit and underperform, why don't we give youngsters like Stan Sargent a chance in the first team? Warren, I'll come to you on this one. Is it just modern day football now that when a team are under pressure and a manager's under pressure, that you just last thing you want to be doing is throwing kids out there? but sometimes it's the thing that could G up the fans.
Maybe, but at the end of the day, the kid's got to be good enough to get in the first team. And is Stan Sargent ready for that step up into an environment which is quite hostile? Would it destroy him coming in before he's ready? I think sometimes with the youngsters, you just got to blood them in easier games when a team's winning rather than when a team is losing. A bit like young Besant up at Oldham. It was, at the time, we was doing really well, and it was easier to blood him his first team debut there than it was in a game like Saturday.
And we've got a question from Dave. Does Gareth know his best side? I don't think he does. Too many changes for consistency and confidence. Phil, did you want to take that one?
I think he probably does know in his head who he wants. But things like, Gareth McCleary having to go off at half time means his game plan, for whatever game plan that is thwarted for that week. So I have a feeling he does know. I have a feeling he hasn't got that at his disposal. And I also have a feeling he's trying to match what he thinks the opposition is going to be doing. It would be nice, though, as Warren's talked about, when we had Mad Dog, we had consistency. We had a team that was turning out week in, week out, midweek, Saturdays. They knew how to play with each other. And we need that back again. We need to have the players knowing where each of it's going to be on the pitch, that sixth sense that I talked about earlier. And that will give us consistency, and that will give us confidence.
Do you think that the injury to McCleary may help him now? Because obviously with Rowe being out in the cold, we've now got no wingers now, really. So I can only see us now going back to a back three, which will give you the two up front with the wing backs. Again, I don't know what they're going to do with Daki in that. But now we've got no wide players. It makes me think now that, we should be consistent with our selection moving forward. Obviously, that's if Gareth is out for a long period of time, which we won't get told how long he's out for, because we never do find out when players are injured how long they're out for.
Good question, isn't it? Yeah. If he changes the squad, if he changes the formation on Saturday, which we want him to, if I'm honest, he's going to be accused of tinkering again. And it's like other managers in the past have been accused of being tinkermen and not having that right consistency. But if he can get it right, then stick with it, win games, give us confidence, and get back up the league table.
Thanks for your question, Dave. Richard sent a question. Do we agree 15 players must go? Finn, I'll let you take that one. Obviously, we've got a lot of players out of contract. Do you think it's just one of those things where you just have a complete reset? It's not the way I think it will go. I can't see us getting rid of everyone, but what would you do?
There's definitely some players I would say should probably leave the club. In order for us to bring new players in, some players will have to be sacrificed. I don't think 15 is the correct number. There's probably about 5 or 6, I'd say. But in order to get players in, some have got to go. There's definitely standout players I would say I would get rid of. And fans might not agree with it, but people have their own opinions. But 15 is probably not the correct amount. But there's definitely a high number of players that should go, to be honest.
Cheers, mate. Mike's come in from a frozen pitch. Does the panel think that the coaching staff also needs looking at this stage of the 2-year plan? Warren, I'll come to you. Obviously, I gave my opinion on Gareth and his position. What are your thoughts leading into the second year? Does he need to up his game?
So something needs to change, because you can't just keep carrying on like this, right? Sometimes change is good. Sometimes change doesn't work out. But if you're gonna do something, let's go gung-ho at it rather than play with it. So, in answer to Mike's question, yes, I do believe there could be a couple of changes in the coaching staff.
Perfect. And thank you everyone for sending in your questions. We will now look ahead to this weekend's game as the Gills make the very long trip to Barrow. Oh dear, as you can see, it's going to be a classic. So Barrow's last 5 are lost, won, lost, and we are lost, won, lost. I will come to you first, Finn, on this one. What do the Gills need to do to make sure they come away from Holker Street with the minimum of a point, but hopefully 3 points?
Well, the thing to say is a better performance on Saturday. Probably show a bit more togetherness. I think as soon as the second goal went in, I think we looked very, very flat. We were just kicking the ball up, asking Vokes to try to flick it on. I think even if we go a goal behind, let's not sit back. Let's go at them. We know we can score goals. Recent games haven't showed, but Shrewsbury we went 3-1 down going into the break. We all thought we'd down and out. We've come out with a point. I think we've just got to go a goal down, go at them. Don't sit back. Just play how we are. But the fans will definitely be expecting a better performance, and Gareth will probably be edging them on for a better performance for us as well. But just go at it. Don't sit back. Show what they're about, really.
And Phil, feels like most weeks we're saying it's a must win. Is it a must win or is it a must not lose?
It's definitely a must win. We've not won enough games this season, and that's disgraceful. We haven't lost that many in comparison, but we're just not picking up the points that we need to do. And if we're going to say that this season is more successful than last season, then we have to finish higher up the table. We want a top 10 finish. I would like to see a top 7 finish, but that's out of the question now. But we need to be in a better position at the end of this season than where we were at the end of last season. So, fingers crossed, we will get a result. And if any of the team are watching this, trust your teammates.
And Warren, finally with you. Obviously, a couple of injuries, a few bad single performances that makes you think these players might not get picked this week. Are we going to be expecting a lot of changes from Gareth? As I said, I would be amazed if we don't go back to a back 3. Now, what would you do?
I think we're going to go back to a back 5, as you said. I don't think we've got the personnel to play any other way at this moment in time, unless he goes same again and plays Palmer Holden and Ronan Howe up front. I think we'll win on Saturday because since the 1st of January, Swindon away, I've been to 9 games. We've won 3 and lost 6. Guess which 6 I've been to? And I'm not going to Barrow. So all you Gillingham fans that are going to Barrow, right, you'll be pleased to know that I'm not going. So we do stand a chance of winning. So I think we will win, although our record at Barrow is absolutely horrendous.
Lovely. And again, I'd like to thank our sponsors and partners. So I'd like to thank Snodhouse Used Cars Sales and Service Station and Wicked Creative, and our partners at Her Game 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network. If you're not already, why are you not? Please give us a follow on our Facebook page, which is The View from the Medway. Also, give us a follow on X at The View from the Medway Fancast and at TVFTM. We actually hit 1,000 followers yesterday, which is a great achievement in just over, well, not even 2 seasons yet. And I think that's a really, really good achievement. And thank you for everyone that does follow us on X and does engage. And we are also on YouTube, The View from the Medway Fancast. So that is that, guys. Does anyone have anything else they want to add before we say our goodbyes?
Yeah, remember it's a sport. It's for enjoyment. Don't let it get in to your head and make it worse than anything else that's happening in your life. Go and enjoy your football. Enjoy your mates. Enjoy beer. But don't get too over the top. And you can accuse me of that as well, because I sometimes I do it.
Cheers, mate. And we will be back on Monday at the normal time of 8 p.m. to review the Barrow game. Thanks to the panel. So thanks, Finn, Phil, Warren. I've been Dave. We've been The View from the Medway Fancast, and up the Gills.